true, down-to-earth music that people can feel. So I always give my heart to BT.
It's crazy. It's people I wanted to see perform my whole life. Of course, I got to see the world boss. Like I said, that was.
Drake stood on stage, thousands of fans chanting something that echoed far beyond the stadium. F.K. Kendrick. And instead of cooling the crowd down, he smiled and raised a glass. That single moment, a toast heard around the world, reignited one of the most intense feuds in modern rap. And while the internet laughed, debated, and picked sides, one man stayed quiet. Kendrick Lamar didn't post, he didn't rant, he didn't drop a track. He went live, said just enough to let everyone know he's watching. And if Drake thinks this is over, he might want to sit down before the next round hits.
Judge, Kendrick Lamar didn't know he performed at the Super Bowl. Drake's lawyer Gottlieb. UMG republished the material with knowledge when it...
Because the war isn't just back, it's about to evolve. The night was already charged. London, July 13th, Wireless Festival. 3 nights, 3 headlining sets. And this was Drake's final one. By all accounts, it should have been a victory lap, the kind of moment only megastars like him can pull off. He'd just dropped a new track, was riding the wave of streaming dominance, and had an entire stadium at his command. But there was something else in the air that night. Not excitement, not just energy, tension. Because despite the flashing lights, pyrotechnics, and back-to-back hits, everyone, fans, blogs, critics, insiders, was thinking the same thing.
Person shooter. And in the song, J. Cole says, "Love when they argue the hardest MC. Is it K-Dot, is it Aubrey, or me? We the big 3.
Would Drake address Kendrick Lamar again? The feud, once confined to lyrics and low-key shade, had spilled into lawsuits, memes, radio silence, and sudden jabs. And now, after months of cryptic interviews and strategic distractions, Drake had the mic, the crowd, and the moment. That's when the chant started. It wasn't planned, and it wasn't subtle, and it wasn't quiet. F.K. Kendrick. One fan shouted it, then 2, then 10. In seconds, it spread like wildfire. What started in the front row bled into the middle sections, then the upper bowl. Within moments, an entire arena of tens of thousands was chanting in unison, with the kind of reckless abandon only a live crowd can deliver.
When you first hear Not Like Us, what do you think about that?
I think LA is different. I think LA culture, the West Coast is...
And Drake? He paused. He smirked and he lifted his drink. "Grab me a shot," he said to his crew. "I'll drink to that." The crowd erupted. The DJ kept the beat running, and Drake sealed the moment with a second glass raised high. It was as deliberate as it was casual, a gesture that only someone completely in control of the crowd could pull off. But this wasn't just a toast. This was strategy, a provocation wrapped in charm, a public nod that sent shockwaves far beyond that stadium. He didn't name Kendrick directly, but he didn't need to. The crowd said his name, Drake co-signed it, and the cameras were rolling. Social media exploded.
But here's what I don't like about the battle. Right? You can't get into a fight.
Clips of the moment hit every platform within minutes. Twitter/X turned into a war zone. Reddit threads blew up. YouTube commentary channels hit record before Drake even left the stage. Headlines came fast. Drake taunts Kendrick live on stage. Drake toasts to F.K. Kendrick chant. Beef back on, and yet the most powerful reaction was silence. Because Kendrick Lamar didn't say a word. No post, no IG story, no diss track at midnight, just stillness. But if there's one thing hip-hop fans know by now, it's this. When Kendrick doesn't respond immediately, it's not because he's shaken, it's because he's calculating.
Kendrick Lamar reacts to Drake lawsuit following Super Bowl halftime show. The Drake versus Kendrick drama just took a...
And for Drake, what might have felt like a power move in the moment might have been the exact thing Kendrick was waiting for. Because that crowd might have been chanting in Drake's favor. But somewhere, Kendrick was listening. And when Kendrick listens, he usually strikes next. To understand what made that toast at Wireless so explosive, you have to rewind. Because this wasn't a new beef, it was a resurfacing of one of hip-hop's most strategic and brutal rivalries in recent history. Drake and Kendrick Lamar have never been friends. Sure, they shared stages early on. They collaborated during their come-up. But underneath the surface, there was always friction.
Yo, Drake owns Turks.
Why?
Let me say this. No, I kid you not. I'm not even.
Two artists representing two different worlds of rap. Drake, the global pop rap juggernaut. Kendrick, the lyrical tactician obsessed with legacy. And everything boiled over in 2023 when Kendrick dropped the now infamous line on Future and Metro Boomin's track, Like That. Mother of K, the big three, it's just big me. No names. But the target was obvious, and Drake knew it. So did J. Cole, and so did the rest of the industry. That line sparked a musical war. Drake fired back with a flurry of diss tracks, push-ups, tailor-made freestyle, family matters. Kendrick didn't flinch, instead he took his time. And when he did respond, he dropped one of the most impactful back-to-back attacks in years.
Drake was making fun of Kendrick's height and the height relation between him and his girlfriend, so somebody actually went to the trouble to make a
Euphoria. Cold, precise, ruthless. 616 in LA, a breakdown of Drake's reputation, one bar at a time. And then the nail in the coffin, Not Like Us. A West Coast anthem turned weapon, a club hit turned cultural missile. It didn't just diss Drake, it embarrassed him. Within days, Kendrick's track was being played at NBA games. TikTok trends exploded. Fans chanted lyrics at Drake concerts. And the worst part? The song hit #1 and stayed there. Kendrick had taken the high road in the charts. And Drake? He was now seen as the one scrambling. But things got even messier. Drake filed a copyright lawsuit over one of Kendrick's responses.
When is the last time that Drake has toured America? I think.
Shocking fans and fueling even more speculation that he was trying to silence the narrative instead of flipping it. The internet turned, critics questioned his moves, even some of Drake's own fans quietly started wondering, was Kendrick winning this by doing less and saying more? Eventually, both sides went quiet. No more tracks, no more shots. For a while, it seemed like the war had ended, or at least reached a stalemate. But that toast at Wireless, it was a spark. And all that unresolved tension came flooding back because if the first round was music, the second might be something far more personal.
You made history already. Appreciate that. Thank you. You didn't have to win anything, you already won. You understand? And
before the chanting crowd, before the raised glass, before the Wireless stage turned into a live diss, Drake had already pressed the first button. On July 5th, 2025, just over a week before Wireless Festival, he dropped a surprise single titled, What Did I Miss? The cover art was minimalist, the rollout quiet, no flashy trailers, no interviews. Just a sudden upload that instantly set the internet buzzing. At first listen, the track felt like a catch-up, a personal recap, like Drake was just filling the silence. But under the polished beats and smooth delivery, there was a different energy. Colder, sharper. This wasn't a reflection. This was a warning dressed as a vibe.
No, Drake is currently suing his own record label for defamation of character, bad business practices.
He doesn't name anyone, but the language, unmistakable. Talking numbers like you made the league, but duck in when it's time to lead. You sued the bar, now you claim the crown. That ain't how kings move. Critics love your quiet storm, but I weathered real thunder. To casual fans, those were just slick bars. But to anyone who followed the Kendrick feud, the message was clear. This was Drake taking veiled shots, calculated ones, and putting the pressure back on Kendrick without ever saying his name. It was a classic Drake tactic. Controlled aggression. He wasn't firing a missile. He was testing the perimeter, seeing how far he could push before getting hit back. And it worked, kind of.
If you have been wondering what the hell is going on between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, I got you. I'm gonna break it down for you in like a couple minutes. In 2000,
fans started dissecting every line. TikTok creators posted breakdowns. Music blogs dropped articles with headlines like, Is What Did I Miss? A Kendrick diss disguised as a flex. But here's the twist. Drake didn't confirm anything. No genius annotations, no clarifying tweets, no follow-up interviews. He let the speculation do the heavy lifting. It was a masterclass in subtle provocation, designed not just to provoke Kendrick, but to pull the internet into his rhythm, to control the timing, to shift the narrative, to force a reaction. But Kendrick, still silent, no cryptic story post, no emoji, no studio snippet.
Kendrick is known for his music and only his music. Drake is known for the personality.
And that silence started to feel less like avoidance and more like something deliberate. Because fans of this feud had seen this before, Kendrick doesn't waste words. He studies, waits, then moves when it matters most. And that silence only made Drake's song feel more desperate to some. Critics started asking, if you won round one, why are you still swinging? Meanwhile, behind the scenes, murmurs grew louder. People close to Kendrick said he was watching, not retreating, and he was working, not reacting. Because in this feud, timing is everything. And Drake, by releasing What Did I Miss just days before his massive wireless set, wasn't just poking the bear. He was daring it to wake up.
Not Like Us, by the way, was a pre-recorded track that they put out. Now, if Drake had done that...
That song wasn't the start of a new wave, it was a signal. And Kendrick heard it. He just chose not to answer, not yet. For days after Drake's wireless stunt, the chant, the toast, the shots, the internet buzzed with anticipation. Fans waited, blogs speculated, creators refreshed Kendrick Lamar's pages, hoping for a single post, a lyric, a reaction, anything. But Kendrick stayed silent, and that silence, it wasn't weakness, it was weight. Because if there's one thing Kendrick has proven time and time again, it's that he never moves out of emotion. He moves with precision. And just when people started thinking he might not respond at all, he went live.
Drake dissed Kendrick Lamar live on stage at Wireless. The crowd started chanting F Kendrick like it was part of the set list.
No announcement, no countdown, no promotion, just Kendrick. In frame, focused, still. He didn't yell, he didn't mock, he didn't need to. What he said wasn't long, but every word hit with intention. He didn't directly mention Drake. He didn't quote lyrics. Instead, he spoke to the energy, the disrespect, the provocation, and the deeper level this feud had now reached. His tone, calm, his eyes, locked in. His message, crystal clear. This wasn't about clapping back, this was about setting the tone for what's coming. The live stream lasted just a few minutes, but in that short window, Kendrick reminded everyone why he's dangerous. He doesn't need to outshout, he outthinks.
Drake's legal action against Universal Music Group over Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us continued.
And in a digital world built on noise, Kendrick's quiet landed like a sonic boom. Social media lit up. He's too calm, that's the scary part. Toast to my name like it's your win, bro, that's a bar. Kendrick didn't flinch, he warned. Even artists started weighing in. Some reposted the clip with cryptic captions. Others just liked and moved on, quietly picking sides without saying a word. Because make no mistake, this wasn't Kendrick backing down. This was Kendrick sharpening the blade. And if Drake thought the toast was the mic drop, Kendrick's look into the camera said otherwise. After Kendrick's live, everything changed. It wasn't long and it wasn't loud, but it hit like a cultural reset.
Man, Drake is standing on business when it comes in terms of performing in America. He said, I bet. I'm not.
Because in just a few minutes, Kendrick did what Drake's whole wireless performance couldn't. He reframed the narrative without even saying his name. And while fans were decoding every word, something else was happening behind the scenes. The industry started moving. People who once co-signed Drake were suddenly quiet. Accounts that usually reposted his tracks stayed silent. No fire emojis, no Drizzy did it again, just stillness. But Kendrick, he didn't need validation. Instead, he started getting something more powerful, respect. LeBron James, one of Drake's biggest public supporters, reposted Kendrick's pop-out performance shortly after the wireless incident with the caption, "Real ones know."
Yo, so me and my brother was just sitting around and he literally broke down the exact...
He didn't mention Drake. He didn't have to. The timing said it all. Then came the subtle shifts in playlists. More Kendrick, less Drake. On influencer reels, reaction videos, even gym edits, Kendrick's voice started to creep back in. Even streaming algorithms noticed. Not Like Us quietly began trending again. Old interviews resurfaced. Clips of Kendrick speaking about legacy, craft, discipline, all being reshared, reframed, recelebrated. Because while Drake had numbers, followers, and noise, Kendrick had something else, respect from the people who shape the culture. And artists talk, producers, writers, engineers, they pick sides long before fans ever notice.
What is the drama between Kendrick Lamar and Drake? What started as a single lyric turned into hip-hop's biggest showdown.
And slowly, silently, some began gravitating toward Kendrick's orbit. Not because of drama, but because of alignment. One major producer even told a hip-hop blog off record, "At some point, you have to ask yourself, are you chasing relevance or building legacy?" The room was shifting, and Drake, whether he realized it or not, was no longer the automatic center of gravity in every conversation. That toast at Wireless was meant to be dominance, but it may have sparked something he didn't expect. A quiet realignment. Not just among fans, but among peers. And in hip-hop, that's more dangerous than any diss track. This isn't just a rap beef. It's not just two superstar artists trading bars.
So now TDE Punch wants you to believe that Drake, in his spare time, after breaking...
It's a collision of ideologies. Two completely different ways of building legacy, commanding attention, and controlling the culture. Because Drake and Kendrick Lamar don't play the same game. They're in the same arena, but they're not using the same playbook. And as this feud stretches into its second round, that difference is becoming more obvious and more important. Drake is Flash. He's the entertainer, the showman, the guy who can headline 3 nights in a row and switch up the set every single time. He thrives on visibility, on staying top of mind, on moving so fast that the narrative can't catch up. Drake doesn't just make music, he creates moments.
In a continuous lyrical battle throughout 2024. So, who is the superior artist? Actually, this debate started a decade ago.
Surprise guest here, a cryptic Instagram post there, a live stream blasting unreleased tracks out the back of a truck in a different city every night. He's mastered the algorithm. He knows when to drop, how to tease, how to flood the timeline. And when someone throws shade, his response is almost always the same. Don't wait. Drop a bar, make a meme, hit the crowd, keep it moving. It's effective, it's immediate. And for most artists, that would be enough. But Drake's strength, that constant presence, can also become his weakness. Because the more you stay in the feed, the harder it is to feel legendary. The audience gets used to you, they expect you, and sometimes that spotlight starts to feel like noise.
Did F Kendrick like it was a hook. And what did Drake do? He smiled, raised a drink, and said, "Relaxed. I'll toast to that. Serious."
Kendrick is focus. Where Drake moves like a wave, Kendrick moves like a needle. Sharp, direct, unshakable. He doesn't flood the zone, he sharpens one arrow and waits until it's time to fire. Kendrick doesn't chase trends. He doesn't care if he disappears for months or years. Because when he returns, he doesn't just drop songs, he changes the conversation. From To Pimp a Butterfly to Damn to Mr. Morale, Kendrick's catalog is built on depth, discipline, and timing. He doesn't post, he publishes, he doesn't react, he responds with purpose. That's why when he finally dropped tracks like
been in the UK for the UK leg of the Grand National Tour, and I didn't think Drake was going to acknowledge the beef, but the crowd started chanting
Not Like Us and Euphoria, they didn't feel like diss records. They felt like statements, historical, immovable, designed to live longer than the moment they dropped. And that's the difference. Drake tries to own the moment. Kendrick tries to own the era. A bigger question, this feud is about more than just two artists. It's becoming a mirror for the culture. What do we reward now? Do we champion the artist who moves the crowd every night or the one who moves the needle every few years? Because the truth is, both have massive followings. Both dominate in different ways. But only one of them seems focused on building something that lasts beyond the viral moment. And that contrast has never been clearer than it is now.
The thing that Drake didn't anticipate is he made Kendrick a hit maker. He made Kendrick.
While Drake raises a glass and laughs with the crowd, Kendrick sits back, quietly watching, calmly plotting. Because for Kendrick, this isn't about who's louder, it's about who's remembered. If you followed Kendrick Lamar long enough, you know one thing for sure. When he's silent, he's working. And right now, he's not just watching, he's loading. Multiple insiders, people who've worked with him, producers who've been in the studio, and engineers with NDA-level access have all said the same thing. Kendrick's got more in the vault, and not just throwaway bars or alternate verses. They're calling it pressure. They're calling it strategic. They're saying some of it was recorded months ago, even during round one of the feud.
Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance being nominated for 4 Emmys has literally got to be the W of a century.
But held back on purpose. Why? Because Kendrick didn't need it then, but he might need it now. Sources say there are full tracks. Not just disses, but documents. Songs built not just to respond, but to expose. Lyrical blueprints aimed at legacy, image, influence, all the things Drake guards the most. And Kendrick? He's sitting on it like a general with missiles, ready to strike, but only if necessary. One insider said, "What's scary is not what Kendrick dropped, it's what he didn't drop." Let that sink in, because remember, Kendrick's first wave of responses already shook the culture. Euphoria was personal.
Easy, hands down, for sure. That was kind of his moment to prove himself. But at that moment, he also just came off of
616 in LA was surgical. Not Like Us was cultural. Each song hit a different layer, so if there's more, what's left to uncover? Some speculate Kendrick's holding real-life receipts, references to past collabs, conversations, studio sessions. Moments only a select few would even know existed. And yet, he's still waiting. Because for Kendrick, a response isn't just about clapping back. It's about timing, placement, and finality. He's not interested in dropping a track that trends for 2 hours. He wants the kind of blow that people are still quoting 10 years from now. And that's what makes this moment so dangerous for Drake.
Always love Drake and Kendrick. Don't ask me who's better.
Holding that controversy inside of you.
Because while he's raising toasts and teasing the crowd, Kendrick is sitting on material that could reset the entire war. But he's not rushing, he's not leaking, he's not even hinting. He's watching quietly, knowing that if he decides to move, it won't be a reaction, it'll be the last word. Right now, the battlefield is quiet, no new songs, no live responses, no studio leaks. But the tension, heavier than ever. Both artists are locked in a standoff, but the energy surrounding them couldn't be more different. Drake is everywhere. He's making surprise appearances, throwing subliminals on social media, performing for packed crowds, leaning into his showmanship. He's keeping the engine running, fast, loud, relentless.
Do you think LA people would choose Drake over Kendrick?
Yes. If you're talking about ticket sales, Drake could sell out the SoFi Stadium.
But behind the curtain, something feels unsettled. Because for all the flash, the pressure is mounting. Every move he makes is dissected, and every post is interpreted as a jab or a dodge. And whether he admits it or not, he knows Kendrick is watching, and Kendrick hasn't played his final card. Meanwhile, Kendrick, he's still silent, strategic. But his silence isn't passive, it's power. He doesn't need to post, he doesn't need to trend. Because everyone already knows that if he responds, it won't be for attention. It'll be because he wants to end this on his terms. And that's what makes this moment so defining. This isn't just about who's winning the beef.
Right. Like, they're not like us. That energy. Look, the lawsuit thing,
I thought that was to make sure that didn't.
It's about what kind of legacy each artist is building right now. Because years from now, no one's going to remember who got the loudest cheer at Wireless. They'll remember who stood on business, who moved with clarity, who didn't just fire back but made it count. Drake's next move could be another viral moment. Kendrick's next move could be the closing chapter. And in a culture where attention is currency, but impact is legacy, this standoff is bigger than both of them. It's a test of patience, of pressure, of purpose. And whoever moves next might shape the sound and standard of the next decade in hip-hop. In the end, this isn't just a feud between two of the biggest names in hip-hop.
Last 3 tours have been like out the country. Last 2-3 tours have been out the country. Okay. Yeah, why is that?
It's a reflection of the game itself. What it rewards, what it respects, and what it remembers. Drake is the symbol of modern rap's dominance, visibility, connection, versatility. Kendrick is the voice of discipline, focus, and deeper purpose. One floods the timeline, the other freezes it. And now, with the crowd still echoing, the silence louder than ever, and the next move hanging in the air like a final beat before the drop. We're all watching, waiting, wondering, will Drake fire again to prove he's still untouchable? Will Kendrick step out of the shadows with something that changes the narrative for good? Or will this tension stretch into legend, unfinished and unresolved? One thing is certain, this moment won't be forgotten. Because beef comes and goes, but legacy is what's left when the music stops. And right now, both artists are writing theirs in real time. Who owns the moment is one thing, but who owns the decade? That answer is still loading.